We're here. It's time to talk movies, and tonight we're going to talk about some scary shit.
Film is a medium that transports. All I have to do is pop myself in front of the TV to watch a movie, and I can just enjoy it, whatever place the film takes me to.
Movies have always been an escape. It gives you a whole new world to be in.
I have a rekindled love affair with movies.
Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Real to Real Talk. I am Sergio Barrera, and joining me a little bit at a time is the ghostly visage of one Paul Britton.
Is it safe?
It's you can come out now. Don't be scared.
Okay.
Because it's time for our weekly episode of Real to Real Talk. Paul Britton joining me. We are missing our shout out to Susan Chisholm, who will be back very soon. And already, Paul, I am excited because we're going to talk scary movies tonight.
Specifically, a series of scary movies.
Yeah.
Specifically, 3 within a larger universe of scary movies.
A universe I didn't realize was so large before I started this little journey with you.
I was not well versed on the Conjuring universe.
No, and we'll talk mainly about the Conjuring films, the 3. The motivation behind this particular episode was the release of the new film, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It.
Yeah.
Which that title was one of the reasons I was like, I think we need to talk about this film.
Yeah.
But it was again a genre that I'm not one to generally look forward to. I don't. If we have to ever cover horror movies and so forth, of course, you know me, I'll do the work. But it's not horror is not a genre that I tend to gravitate towards.
Yeah,
because I'm a fraidy cat.
I'm similar, though not because I'm a fraidy cat, just because it's not my thing.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm cool. I like it's good, but I think there's the ceiling on horror movies is not very high for me. Like, you know, as far as how much I'm going to enjoy them, you know, because The Exorcist is up here and The Shining is like, you have to like, there are some really special, fantastic, amazing horror movies. And then like the chattel is large.
Oh, sure.
And well grouped together down below.
And one of the things that for me is one of the reasons I don't tend to gravitate toward them, along with the fact that I'm not big on like fright moments.
Right.
Films, it's that they tend, to your point, to end up being really bad.
Yeah.
And so rare is the film. I think I get more out of, you know, if a film is a horror film from a psychological standpoint.
Sure.
You know, it's like fearing what you can't see.
Right.
That tends to be more what I like. But
sure.
It's not an issue of I don't consider gore and horror the same thing.
Okay.
You know, films that rely on gore.
I really don't like gore movies.
Yeah, they rarely have a good story because the issue here is, you know, the gore, right?
Yeah, right.
But when you come into a series like The Conjuring, you're dealing with the supernatural. You're dealing with this is for me in the same vein of movies like Poltergeist. Only the first one because that was a really good one.
Sure.
And movies of such. I think back to, you know, the Omen films of the early 70s.
Even The Exorcist is mentioned previously. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And this is where I have to admit on air that I've never seen that film.
Oh my God.
I haven't. I just, you know, it's weird. Maybe this will be the thing that makes me do it. But when
the devil will make you do it.
When we talked about, you know, watching the film to review it, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, we said, well, why don't we go ahead and watch the first 2? I wanted context, right?
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
The films, for those who may not have watched the series, are based on Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were famous demonologists is one of the terms that it's used.
And she is a medium or a clairvoyant.
Yeah. And these movies are based on actual cases that they were involved in. They were made most famous by the case of the Amityville horror, the home that it was, became famous through, the book, The Amityville Horror, and subsequent films, unfortunately. And so this was yet, I loved the title cards of each of these films that explain, this is what they're up to, and of course, everyone was like the most notorious case, but I'm like,
Right.
we're 3 deep, like,
Yeah, you can't be like, no, really, guys,
it was this
this
one.
is the one.
Yeah,
This is
what
the
was
one that
unique
was-
about what was chronicled in the third film is that it is actually based on a real case in which someone was committed a murder and was allowed to claim a defense based on demonic possession. And so there's a lot of reality that is behind the story itself, and that's the truth with the first 2 films as well, is that they're based on real cases that the Warrens were part of. And so, as we've often said on this film, or on the show, Paul, these films really got me to reading and learning more about the Warrens and their lives. So couldn't do the third film without looking at briefly at the first 2. So just, kind of start us off, Paul, with your thoughts on the series itself. From a film standpoint, did it meet the threshold of suspense and, terror that it intended?
Are we doing just the most recent one, or are we doing like an arc?
Just an overarching of all.
Okay,
3.
cool.
Yeah. And we'll go heavy on the third one, once we talk about the
Sure.
first 2.
I do think that they're it's interesting using these 2 real life people as sort of the focus of these movies. Lends them an anchor that like kind of helps drive a overarching feel to them. However, they're so very different. Like just there's no connect. Like this isn't like any other trilogy where it's like one story leads to another. Like it turns out like we really could have just done the third movie, very much so, and not missed anything. And
I liked how they tried to do little stitchbacks, because like in the third film they were like, well, the parents say hello. I'm like, oh, okay,
right, yeah. It's like, okay, but
all in all, you're right. These are standalone films.
They're very much standalone films. Yeah. With, as you mentioned, really awesome courier type intros which throws you back to the 70s, always important. And so because they have the common characters, there is some continuity, but also I do appreciate the fact that they don't try to force it. They don't try to like force a common narrative. It's just kind of like, look, these are, this is really what these people were going through and experienced, and here are these 3 completely unrelated things that they happen to experience, and here we are. Yeah.
It was interesting because I felt that as the series moved forward, first, second, and third film, I did the whole watching the first one through like, hands in front of my eyes kind of stuff, but I felt like the second and third sort of diminished in the fright factor and were more into the storytelling factor.
Yeah, for sure.
I really loved. There were some common threads that were sort of present in all 3. The person who was being possessed, they had sort of the same gray hue. There was consistency in how things were portrayed.
Sure, yeah.
The same director directed 1 and 2, and then a different director for the third. And I felt like the third, which is the one we'll focus on here in a moment, really did more of storytelling than it did amping up, this is a horror series.
Way more. Yeah.
And so I enjoyed all 3 films. Definitely the first one was sort of, it was tough to watch because, again, of the fright factor that I'm not really comfortable with. But I enjoyed the movie, as a film.
Yeah.
Children in Peril is, often difficult for me.
Sure.
By the time we got to the second film, it was like, I don't know that I was hardened to what was going to happen, but I knew kind of what to expect. But what was cool is none of it felt repeated, if that makes sense. For something,
very fresh
in the same, 3 films of the same storytelling genre, supernatural and so forth.
Yep.
None of it felt like a rehash.
It didn't feel like this. It was just blatantly obvious. This is not the same demon popping up, and we're not going to try to force feed that. Unlike the other two, parts of the Annabelle and the Nun parts of this universe. Like the Annabelle thing, I would imagine it's just the creepy doll, and it's 3 episodes of the creepy doll, and the Nun thing is the Nun, and then the you say it. Thank you.
The Curse of La Llorona. Yeah, that one makes me laugh because that's an old story. That was an old story. Wives tell the parents would tell in the Hispanic culture.
Cool.
But I haven't. Of the other 5, I have no interest in the Annabelle films. I'll be honest.
Okay. Yeah.
Although I was like, oh, that's what that is. How do we get 3 movies out of a 5-minute intro to a film?
Yeah.
But I do want to see The Nun because the second film I really enjoyed.
Okay.
And was like, oh, okay, well, maybe I got to watch that movie. So again, it was. I sat there stunned that this universe of The Conjuring is 8 films over. I think it's 8 films over 6 years, 7 years. I mean, this is like Marvel territory, Paul.
It's crazy, but yeah, without the Kevin Feige to
to really make it,
to make it work.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I watched the first 2. To your point, we really didn't really need it, but I like that I at least have the whole context as we go into our review.
I agree.
For The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It.
Yeah.
I do want to start by saying that I'm so happy that the cast remains intact of the main characters. Ed and Lorraine Warren, their assistant, and the priest are all the same actors in all 3 films. And I don't know why that was something that I was like, well, that's very nice. I'm glad. That.
Oh, they're all still alive and haven't been thrown off a cliff by a devil. That's nice.
But that cast really works and it gels and you believe the gravity of what they're doing because they're portrayed so convincingly by the actors that were cast.
Yeah.
Vera, is it Farmiga? I don't know how to pronounce her last name.
It's good enough for me.
The actor who played Lorraine Warren, you see her here and there, right? Like she's one of those actors that you see in several films, and you're like, hey, I know her. I love her portrayal and how she progressed the character. And in this film, I think we finally got a chance to just sort of see her, really just pull it all out, put it all out there.
Yes, she definitely drove it. Now comes the part where I need to ask you.
Sure.
For you, the fact that these are based on true stories, does that take away or add to the story at all? Like, does it impact your viewing experience?
Because whether I believe or not that they were?
Yeah, the idea that this is so this is based on a true story, and so we are to believe that this is what's going on.
Right. It does. I will say it doesn't take away. While I myself have never experienced anything of the supernatural, I do believe that there is possibility that these things happen. I can't deny what I haven't seen.
Okay.
Especially when when I read about them and about their casework, this is not, they portray this in the films where, they're labeled as kooks and hoaxes and this and that. And there's so much material with just these 2 people that I can't say that what they experienced wasn't real. And so I thought the films portrayed that really well. It didn't take anything away, whether I believe or don't. And I will admit that I am open to the fact that there's probably some truth to this.
Okay.
It didn't take anything away. It made it more compelling and interesting to watch.
Okay, cool. So I have a little slightly different feeling on that.
Yeah.
Like I definitely, it's like, I would rather watch this and just be like, oh, this is fun, a movie, rather than sitting there like, oh, come on. Are we really believing that, that they went and hunted down a Satanist cult lady who then did feel a little hashtag spoiler alert. Right. I didn't get too far in. So it's just like, come on. It really For me, it really makes some of it difficult.
This film was more of a detective story, right?
Yes,
And
correct.
so there were elements that actually, in fact, I remember thinking, this feels like an episode of a detective serial,
Yeah, it felt
right?
very much like a CSI or something
Yeah,
like that.
CSI
Far more than
Supernatural.
like literally in the first like 20 minutes of the movie, I was like, oh my God, are we gonna get like a courtroom drama? Like I thought it was gonna be a courtroom drama
Yeah.
instead of a horror movie. I'm like, oh, this is not gonna make horror fans happy at all. Like
Right. Yeah, and I honestly think that one of the only problems I had with this film was that it did ramp down the horror aspects quite severely.
yeah.
What it did focus on was very effective. You
Okay.
know, it doesn't ruin anything for anyone who hasn't seen the film to say that this was about a murder case.
Right.
And the portrayal of that event was really jarring.
Yeah.
And done so well from a cinematic standpoint.
Yeah. I have to say the opening 5-10 minutes, the opening scene of this movie is bananas amazing. Like just bonkers and fantastic, and really gets you into it. And and it's that the juxtaposition from the opening to the rest of the movie is somewhat jarring, quite frankly, because it's just not, it does not carry the energy of the beginning.
Right.
But on purpose. Like it's not like they try and it just never, it's just like the rest of the movie is just a totally different movie. It is a like that the opening scene is a totally different movie than the rest of the movie. And it's it feels
that's it sort of diminishes the horror aspect in a way that I wasn't prepared for and was like, huh, well, okay. All right, that's a whole different
thing. Hey, if that's where you want to go with it.
I do want to say this, that this is straight out of the trailer. There's the moment in the trailer that was sort of the most infamous was the shot of the person walking down the road, bloody arms and bloody shirt. When we came to that point in the film, which was relatively early on, I remember feeling like, okay, cool. This was a good payoff from a trailer sort of moment. Often you see things in trailers, especially when a trailer focuses on one image for a long time, that by the time it happens in the film, it's like, okay, well, here we are. I didn't feel like that. I felt like the elements of the film that made it into the trailer played well within the overall context of the film, and made it very interesting. But like I said, for me, after I prepped myself with the first two, this movie wasn't at all what I expected it was going to be.
Totally different tone, feeling, and almost makes sense that they would have a new director because it's just different. I mean, if you have seen the first two, definitely check this one out. You're already pot committed, but also don't expect to see a lot of possession and and that sort of thing. Like Sergio mentioned earlier, this is a detective story. This is using it through the guys through the eyes and experiences of a clairvoyant, and that's really what it is. And so
it's even a weird love story. We get more of the Warrens.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and so
and others in love, whose love ends poorly.
Nothing given away.
Yeah.
And so I think that, as we look at this movie, from a review standpoint, it's funny because as I thought about it, I felt a certain way. But now that as I'm talking it out with you, Paul, I realized that what I feel and that feeling I had was just that it didn't live up to what I had become used to in the first two films in terms of the fright moments and the way in which the demonically possessed person was made up. And because I love that movies like this, I like to sort of pause and go back and watch a scene again because how did they really, because it's such quick moments, like I want to see what was the makeup work, what was the how
did they make that kid tie himself into a pretzel?
And you get over the original fright moment and you become curious about the film from a creation standpoint or creativity standpoint. This movie just didn't do that for me. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't go back to visit it. And I don't know that it even is a strong entry into the Conjuring universe. It's a good movie. I enjoy, like I said, but it's not going to make me go back. And I certainly don't feel like there's anything that was left for me to go, ooh, I really want to see 4. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I probably will if they make the 4, just because I've now seen the 3, so I am morbidly curious as to what comes next. But
but I'm not sitting there waiting for the next one. You know?
Yeah.
So especially at the rate that these movies have come out, not just these
every 6 months. Is that what it? No.
Something like that. Yeah. I mean, and so and so if you're watching, we'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the Conjuring films? Not just these 3 that we've been talking about, but how did you feel about the latest, and maybe the other entries, the Annabelle movies, of which there are 3, and the Curse of La Llorona.
Somebody asked, is it scarier than the original Poltergeist? And I'm just going to say flat out no.
That's George. George is he's my co-host on the
show. That's right. I recognize him. Okay, sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's not scarier than the original. Oh man, I could tell you, if we ever talk someday about that film, Paul, that movie did a number on me. I couldn't look at Cheetos the same way for a long time. But,
or clown stuffed animals.
Oh gosh, man, pools.
Pools, yeah, right.
Oh man, so
I will say that for this one, the opening 10 minutes is probably my favorite 10 minutes of any of the movies, though. Seriously, it's a really, really good opening.
Yeah, absolutely. Dear friend from high school, R.W. Rushing asks, what are the essential elements that make a film like this work? And
good
by
question.
that, it's a great question. And I'm assuming, R.W., that you're asking regarding the Conjuring films.
Right.
I'm so not into the genre, Paul, that I'm not sure what the elements I look for are, other than good fright moments and maybe a good story. But
well,
I weigh in on that.
So I think when we're talking about these, I think we're talking demon movies, because I think we're talking Omen, Rosemary's Baby, some of the classics, Exorcist. I think the first thing you need is it has to be really personal. I think for these movies, and that's one of the things that's really lacking in this one, where it's the possession scene is this long, and then it's just expelled, and it's there's nothing to carry it through. Whereas the second one, the solid thing about the second one is it really focuses up on one of the kids, and the first one, it focuses on a house. And so I think the first thing you need is just that, there's just one source. Don't make it it's over here, it's over here, it's over here, it's over here. Just focus. This is a horrible thing happening to this person who would normally be good. I think that's one thing that you really need. I also think that you need crazy whacked out shit happening. And that's just, I mean, you need the kid's head turning 360, and you need, spitting up pea soup, and you need, nannies throwing themselves from buildings and saying, this is for you, Damien. Those are the indelible moments. And I'm not coming to this for a whodunit. Let's find the Satanist cult. That's not what I'm coming there for. And so there needs to be a memorable, oh my God, do you remember when this happened? And oh my God, do you remember when this happened? As opposed to, wow, do you think they did a good job of solving that case? It's I don't care.
Yeah. I think part of the intent of the film was to try to portray the work that wasn't shown in the first 2 films that Ed and Lorraine Warren obviously did, right? Because it wasn't just about the exorcisms, or it wasn't just about, so much of their career is built upon the footwork that we generally didn't get to see in the first 2 films. But it just became so heavy in it that it was not to discount their work, but it just, I don't know, that was like you, that wasn't the story I was looking for.
Right.
But yeah, great answer there, Paul, at least from your thoughts on RW's question. RW, thank you for joining us. George, thank you. Diana says, I'm not a big fan of horror, but the Annabelle movies are pretty bad.
Okay.
I'm not sure if she means badass Like, that
that's a good
think
that's a good point. It could go either way.
yeah.
Because
So Diana,
the
if
I'm
you're
not a
watching,
big
let us know.
fan of, but would imply, hey, even though I'm not a big fan, they're pretty badass. However, taken literally, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I have a feeling she means
They were not scary. Okay.
There you go. Thank you,
So,
Diana.
all right. Thanks for the clarification.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm happy. I think I'm good with just seeing the three Conjuring movies. I've paid my due diligence on this universe. So,
like I said, the only one that I want to watch still is The Nun, only because
okay.
the imagery of that particular demon and that portrayal was so like
That was the
great.
Yes.
That,
The scariest parts of all three movies was
absolutely.
definitely the nun imagery from the second one.
Film.
Just freaked the crap out of me. Yeah.
Paul, I think we have our very first fan rating.
0 tacos on the
is
Annabelle.
coming from
Wow.
our
Harsh. Like I even gave like that shitty the baby one taco. Like,
oh my.
wow.
Well, I think that's a good segue moment to share that here on Reel to Reel Talk, we have a 5 taco scale in which we rate movies. A movie can get as many as 5 tacos, but if you really want to push more, you can throw a little bit of guac on it. So with that in mind, thank you, Diana, for your rating of 0 tacos for The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Paul, talk to me. What is your rating for this film?
I didn't hate it. It was okay. I was entertained. Wasn't exactly what I was expecting, but I'm going to go ahead and give 2 tacos and guac, but I had to pay for the guac, so I'm a little bitter.
Gotcha. That was, we had to invest time watching all of these.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. For myself, you know that I tend to be a little more generous than you, but I did land squarely on 3 tacos, no guac.
Okay.
For The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, because of the fact that it didn't maintain sort of the compelling feel of the first 2. I didn't get much fright moments from it. Is it a nicely done film that entertained me from beginning to end? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it just didn't thrill me.
Yeah.
It didn't really do a lot for me overall. But 3 tacos for some consistent portrayal of these characters, of these people who are real people.
Yep.
And an interesting twist on the genre that is The Conjuring. So there we go. If there's a 4th, I guess we'll have to watch it. So.
I'm gonna end up watching it. When it's free somewhere, like
oh sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We had that conversation on before. It's like, if this wasn't free, I would not have even brought this up as a possible. Well,
and I tell you, I'm glad you did, because it was a nice little audible moment. It was fun to sort of dive into a genre I'm not used to.
Yeah.
And it was fun to talk about. So we thank you for joining us. And for those watching us on YouTube, we thank you so much. Please make sure that if you haven't already, click that subscribe button so you can be part of the Reel to Reel Talk family, and hit that notification bell so you know when our episodes land week to week. You will always see us on Tuesday nights live here on YouTube. Leave comments below. Let us know what you're thinking. And also like the episode. We like likes. We collect them. The way that weird guy, Ed Warren, collected mementos. Dude, he's creating his own haunted house, man. That was another weird element to me that was like, I like the consistency of the trope,
Yep.
But if that house in that one room has all those things,
hey, he gets it blessed every month, though.
I guess.
It's like he pays his cable, and then the priest shows up, or it's probably the other way around. The priest will show up, and that's his reminder that he has to pay the cable.
That might be it. Oh man! So some of you watching on Facebook Live, thank you so much for joining us on our Reel to Reel Talk page. If you are watching and you haven't liked the page, please go over and do so, and also comment on the episodes that you are watching or that you go back to watch, because they're all here on Facebook on our Reel to Reel Talk page. Also, don't forget, you can follow us on Instagram. You can check back episodes. All of our show posters are up, so you can see what we've talked about over the course of now 74 episodes of Reel to Reel Talk. We're approaching the big 75. It's been fun, Paul, and they can all see what we've talked about over the years or however long it's been.
Yeah,
on
it's been
Instagram. So
we're plus one more than 1 year, so yeah, we can use plural there now.
It has been a while.
And
fun. It has been a while since we heard about some weirdness from our friend Paul, as it's time now for this week's installment of What the Hell Did I Just Watch? Paul, I understand you have something interesting for us.
Yeah, so leaving HBO Max this later this week, is a little movie called Fast and the Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. So I didn't find this out until like early last week, and so I was like, oh shit, well, I have 8 movies that I need to watch so that I can watch Hobbs and Shaw before it leaves HBO Max. And so what the hell did I just watch was the very first The Fast and the Furious movie. And the reason why this falls into what the hell did I just watch is because how the hell did that movie spawn 8 movies?
Soon to be 9.
Soon to be 9 and a spinoff. How did that happen? Like, that first movie is basically a shitty Point Break if you assume that Point Break was good to begin with, which I don't. So, and don't hate me for that. I'm sorry. It's just a personal opinion.
Are we talking about the original?
Yes. Okay. I know people like Point Break. I'm not one of them. It's okay. Hey, some of my best friends love Point Break. It's okay.
Okay.
But this is just a remake of that, and it's not good. All right. So here, these are the what the hell moments. So first of all, what the hell is Dom's motivation? Like, okay, we know that he loves his family. Where do we see that in the first movie when he spends his time with his family putting them in mortal danger for seemingly no reason whatsoever? Like, I can't figure out. Like, so if you haven't seen the original Fast and Furious, I am not going to apologize for spoiling things here. So he's like putting them in mortal danger by hijacking, speeding semi trucks down the highway. And they like performing these death-defying tricks and stuff to get command of the semi trucks. For what? I don't get it. Like, and so
for stereos, man.
You can fix cars. Are you telling me that you're the only person on the planet that can't customize cars and make a living off of that? Like, you fucking have to hijack trucks.
Crime.
And when the supposed lead character, the good guy, whatever, the cop, finds out that you actually are behind this, he doesn't say, hey, you know what? This is kind of fucked up. Fuck this guy. And like go and throw him in jail. And say, no, he goes and helps him. Okay, why? What's the connection there? Because you love his sister? Okay, but
it's all about family, man.
It's not. He's literally trying to kill his family. and I don't get it. This movie makes no sense to me. I hated it. It was like, and I have found out one thing for sure.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between street races and car chases in movies, and the prior are completely uninteresting to me, and the latter are freaking awesome. I love like Ronin. Bullet.
One of the best car chase scenes ever.
Best car chase. The Bourne Ultimatum. What's that?
The French Connection.
French Connection. All of these movies have amazing car chases, and we get driving one way down the street and one way back. Isn't that exciting? No, it's not. It's really.
But it is when they hit the NOS, dude. When they hit the NOS.
It hits the NOS, and then we get the magic mushrooms effects. This movie, I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm sorry.
But you're going to go through the rest before the latest installment, right?
Oh, I'm done with it.
Yourself.
I've made all. I had to. I've spent a little over a week going through all.
Oh, have you gone through them all?
Smoking the Bandit, another great one. Yes, I'm done.
Oh, you're way ahead of me. I literally had only seen the first film, which is why I was so excited.
But you've seen Hobbs and Shaw, so
I have seen Hobbs and Shaw. I don't consider Hobbs and Shaw,
Okay, but I wanted to understand. So I was on a timer, and
Gotcha.
I also had an extra day off this past week. So,
well, there you go.
so
I'm taking my time because the new film doesn't come out until the 25th of June. And
Correct.
after the second and third, Paul, I couldn't anymore. The second film.
It's okay. So it
Ugh.
starts here. Where? Okay, it starts here, and then it goes down, and then it goes down.
Oh my!
It goes from 1 to 2, and then it goes up a little to 3, and then there's a slight increase on 4, and then honestly, 5, 6, 7 are super enjoyable.
Wait.
Yeah,
you're saying 3 was an up from 2?
I would rather if you put a gun to my head and said you have to rewatch either 2 or 3, I would rather rewatch 3.
Wow.
Yeah,
3 was painful for me, and
I get that. I understand.
You know that 2 was like hard for me.
2 was horrible. There was nothing redeeming in 2 for me.
Right.
Here's the thing is, so for 3, first of all, we didn't have Brian anymore, which was huge for me.
Oh yeah.
Okay, huge step up. Great, no more Brian, who actually starts becoming a decent character in the later movies. I don't know how they pull that one off, but whatever. Like I actually cared about him by the 7th one, which was like, wow, I just did not see that coming. Second thing that 3 had better than 2 is all of the car action scenes. The car action scenes in 2 are abysmal, whereas in 3 it's incomprehensible, but at least watchable. The car chasing scenes.
Yeah, I never had an issue with the car chasing or the car scenes.
Oh, the car scenes in 2 are just dumb. And then the other thing that 3 had was I actually really liked the Vin Diesel cameo at the end. I don't know. I thought it was funny. Like
I wanted to do research and figure out if they just put that in there to give people a reason to stay till the end because it was so bad. I mean,
it's bad. I am not saying it's good.
Right.
I'm not saying it's good.
I was just surprised you saw it as an uptick because
push comes to shove
that I watched way too late at night. But
I was like, it's not something I would ever watch again under any circumstances. Other than gun to my head, you have to watch 2 or 3. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna watch 3 again and again. Maybe because I've been to Japan also. That might be it.
What part of
Japan? Although 2 takes place in Miami, and I live so close to Miami.
Yeah, I have to ask you what part of Japan because I've been to Okinawa.
Tokyo.
Okay,
it was Tokyo.
That's why okay.
It's called Tokyo Drift.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is, you're like, I've been to Japan, and I'm like, well, that didn't affect my view.
Okay, no, it's like, oh, I've been there. Oh, I've been there. Like,
it is the 2 most different places. Yeah. But yeah, no, I loved the premise of Tokyo Drift. Mm-hmm. I loved the character of Han. I
did not like the premise of it's interesting. I thought the premise of Tokyo Drift was abysmal and stupid, and I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna like this movie on any level whatsoever."
Maybe premise wasn't the right word.
Okay,
you're right. It's a dismal movie, but the change in the car drifting aspect of it was enough for me to be like, okay, I can enjoy that.
And that's what I
love the character of Han.
Yes,
right. And I don't know what else happens after this point, so don't give anything away. But I will say that I'm ready for 4 because from all purposes of what I've seen, 4 is supposedly where the uptick takes place.
Here's the thing. Here's the problem with 4. 4, and we're spending way too much fucking time on this. 4 is the last act is okay, but it has to spend so much time making up for basically apologizing for the first 3 and fails miserably and not even trying to explain what the timeline is. It's like we're throwing in this movie and Han's going to be in it and we're not even going to tell you when this is taking place or why. It's just like, here, just
go with it. All right. Well, I will keep an open mind.
I watched 5, 6, and 7 and it was like, all right, I get it.
Okay.
I get it.
Well, all I'll say, because you're right, we have spent quite a bit of time, but this will save us some time in a few weeks when we, a couple weeks when we cover
we don't have to have this conversation again
to review the.
So what the hell did I just watch? The Fast and the Furious. How did this spawn 9 movies? Because the first one sucked. Like it just was not good. It's just like I don't understand anyone's motivation in this movie at all. Like on any level, and Dom loves his family and loves them so much he wants to push them out of speeding cars. onto trucks, and we're supposed to be like, oh, okay, he's a Robin Hood because he's risking the lives of truckers. And what the fuck trucker is getting attacked and just keeps on driving? I'm gonna keep on driving.
No thought to pull over.
Yeah, pull over. Jeez.
Oh, you've changed my entire view of this film.
I hated the first one. Hated it.
All
I hated the second one. I hated the third one. Like, seriously, I thought like after the third one, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get through these. Like, and then it started getting fun and dumb.
Well.
It stayed dumb. The one thing that the common theme throughout is dumb, but at least the last 7 or 6 or whatever it is are fun dumb.
I'll look forward to that because I've got to keep. I was going to space it out, but now I feel like I got to keep going.
Yeah, there are aspects of 4 that still suck, but it's
gotcha. All right. Well, that's this week's What the Hell Did I Just Watch? Join us week to week to find out what kind of weirdness Paul brings us. This is probably the most mainstream entry you've ever had.
Oh, by far. Yeah.
In this series. So
yeah, no,
thank
by
you,
far.
Paul, for another scintillating installment of What the Hell Did I Just Watch? So. All right, we will have a Susan Finally Saw hopefully next week, but right now we're going to go to a little segment we like to call Real Time Rewind. Paul, 25 years ago, this film that I'm going to talk about briefly was amazing. It has action, romance, a theme song from Van Halen, evil meteorologists. It starred Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt, and Cary Elwes, and a young pre-Oscar Philip Seymour Hoffman. As this week's Real-Time Rewind that I want to remind you guys is out there is a little movie called Twister. The movie Twister, I happened to watch it again today because, you got me to HBO Max, right, for the Conjuring films, and I made my way through what it was there, and I was like, I haven't seen Twister in a while. Yeah. So I think what I'm going to do this month as a theme for Real-Time Rewind is going to be weather-related films.
Oh, okay.
Cataclysmic weather-related films. And so Twister is a great place to start. It was a fun movie to watch and rewatch because I've seen it a few times. So, Paul, I'm curious your thoughts just real quick on the movie Twister.
Just so you know, about a month ago, totally guilty of the flipping through HBO Max and like, oh, I haven't seen Twister in a while. Like literally exact same thing. Like just not sure what I want to watch, flipping through. Oh, I haven't seen this in a while. Twister would fit in nicely with in the Fast and the Furious universe. It's so dumb. But it is super fun. There are some really fun things that happen, but it is so dumb.
I know. It was funny because today, it's been several years since I've seen it or revisited it because I've seen it a few times.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but today I really paid attention. And I was like, the dialogue is horrible.
Oh, it's so bad.
There's so many bad things in this film.
It's so bad.
But, it's not about the dialogue and it's about the acting.
Helen Hunt cannot mesmerize me any longer. Her magical powers only last like 2 or 3 viewings before you realize how inane the entire movie is.
Yeah. So I'm glad I watched it. It inspired me to say, okay, let me see what other weather-related films I can bring up this month on Real Time Rewind.
Excellent.
But this week it is Twister. So check it out if you haven't. If you haven't, why not?
Please don't do Geostorm. I am begging you.
That's next on my list.
No, please don't do it. I hate that movie so much. And I was so excited for it.
So was I. Yeah.
And it sucked so bad.
Oh, there's a topic.
Why did it have to be a spy movie? I went for it. Yes, movies that were not anything like what they were billed. Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, Geostorm.
Oh, man,
I
tell you, it is hilarious. All right, well, check out Twister if you haven't. Go watch it. If you have, watch it again. It's fun. HBO Max is where it's available. And that is this week's Real Time Rewind, which brings us to this week's real quick review. Very interesting selection. Paul, you reached out to me this morning, and I'm glad you did. Tell us a little about what we're going to talk about in this week's real quick review.
So Bo Burnham has a new special on Netflix called Inside, and it was made completely by him. No crew of any kind other than Bo Burnham. And it's an hour and a half special, and it plays like a movie. I mean, it really does. It doesn't play like a comedy stand-up thing or anything. excuse me, anything like that. It plays like sort of like a stream of consciousness kind of movie. Like honestly, a movie I would do in What the Hell Did I Just Watch? But it's utterly fascinating. I'm so glad that I got turned on to it and that we did this, because it's an experience. It's a wonderful, interesting viewing experience.
It really is. It's unique in that you actually see so much of it's done over the course of just over a year.
The pandemic.
Progression, throughout the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
The progression of his state of mind is very visible.
Yeah.
In what he's doing, but his humor still comes through. And
yeah,
Paul, I had not experienced any of Bo Burnham's comedy prior to this special, so
yep, I went in blind. Yeah,
I made some time to my lunch and breaks were busy. I made some time to catch up on his two other specials that are available on Netflix. One that was in 2013, the second was in 2016, and he mentions in Inside how he had spent 5 years not performing live because of anxiety, which is very a theme that sort of goes throughout Inside this film that we're talking about. And his comedy is something else. It is very musical.
Okay.
There's he writes a lot of original songs. He originally started as a YouTuber that did a lot of funny songs on YouTube.
Cool.
But his stage act is a mix of standing with the microphone, traditional comedy moments that link together all of these other songs and things that he performs.
Okay.
And he is not shy about what he talks about, and it is just out there.
Cool
stuff. So after having watched the film, getting to watch those specials, I was like, oh, okay, I understand him a little bit better now.
Right.
And yeah, this was not only a study in comedy and how comedy, is utilized by people in stressful times, but also we get a look and articles I've read about this particular film. He's very, very plain in saying that this was about chronicling what life was like for me during a pandemic, knowing that I had to put a special together. So cinematically, Paul, I as we review this film briefly, how did you feel? Did you have that? Because I felt there were points where I felt very uncomfortable because of the pace, because of the length. This just wasn't.
The personal aspects of it. The reason why I wasn't uncomfortable with the pace or anything. It was just strictly like, wow, this is like really painfully personal, and it is hilarious. The whole thing is hilariously self-aware. It just, he is absolutely like comes out and says, look, I'm a white guy telling you, giving you my input, and we've been doing this for 400 years. Maybe I should be quiet now, but nope, I'm going to still give it to, like, it's just, it's hilarious. And it's really super self-aware to the point that, like, in the second act, and there is an intermission, which is really hilarious too. Like, I love that. Like, it's a 90-minute thing and there's an intermission. The entire second act is basically like, I'm just not in a good place right now. Right. And we're going to just plug through this. And it's really uncomfortable. It's that second act is really, really painful to watch. In some places it's like, is this really happening right now? Like, genuinely, like, I don't know, because of how self-aware that first act was, or the first half. I just genuinely was like, is this real, or is this just someone that's self-aware that this is how they should be reacting at this point, and is doing this as part of the act? It's just, it's jarring. It's like, I don't know what's going on here.
It's a very compelling piece of work. It's something that I was, again, knowing that it was a comedy special, it was just, again, I guess the theme of tonight's show is it went directions that we didn't expect, but in a way that was very successful from a film standpoint. I found it interesting that his second special, when it ends, he leaves and walks from this sort of side building to his home after he finishes his second special. It's the same exact home that is portrayed at the very end of Inside. Okay. And so it was, again, I felt like there was more understanding when I went back and watched a couple of his other specials. Cool. And, I can't recommend this film enough.
Not at all. You just need to experience it.
Yeah.
I just want to super fast hit my highlights. The first song just had me dying in tears. It's probably the shortest song, or the second shortest song.
Yeah.
When he says, "So I'm going through all this, so I made you some content," and I'm like, I started dying. The next thing that I loved is the song "This Is How the World Works," and it's a sock puppet explaining classism and class struggles, and how the system is completely rigged for those who already have the power. And it's insane. It's like literally insane that there's sock puppets doing this, and it's just a sock. He doesn't even try to make it a puppet. It's hilarious. My favorite song though was White Woman's Instagram.
I was rolling on that
White
song.
Woman's Instagram. The time it had to have taken him to put together
the sheer
White Woman's Instagram is insane. And I will watch this again just to see White Women's Instagram.
Yeah.
Because and I'll stay through the whole thing, but White Women's Instagram is the best.
And you saw that's what that particular segment, to your point about the first half, you can see that he's at his creative peak energy wise. And as it continues, you're getting Bo Burnham's comedy, but you're getting it from a person who has experienced something that has deteriorated his own feeling about the world and of life. And, this is a guy who he misses the road, obviously.
Right.
And
well, he misses the world, obviously, quite frankly. And I think where he was at his peak creatively, intellectually, was the video. I mean, that was so brilliant. Like shades of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead, where it's a play and a play and a play and a play.
Right.
But this was a video and a video and a video and a video and a video. And it's amazing. Like I just so smart, so aware of everything that's been done before, while still being completely fresh and new, and also understanding the medium perfectly. Just understanding this is the medium, this is what it is, and here we are, kids.
Yeah,
enjoy.
I loved all of those, but also FaceTiming with my mom. I mean, I just can't say enough about this film. For myself, Paul, I don't mind telling you, this is 4 strong tacos for Bo Burnham Inside. For yourself, I mean, where do you land?
Yes, 4 expertly crafted, fantastic tacos.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't recommend it enough. Make sure you check it out on Netflix. It is called Inside, comedian Bo Burnham. And then check out his other stuff and be prepared to be just waylaid by he's so frenetic in his this is why Inside is such an interesting study on this guy, because his stage shows in 2013, 2016 are nothing but energy, high paced, nonstop. And so when I then remember what I saw in Inside, it really creates a bigger picture of who this guy is. And he borders on comedic genius. I mean, I'm glad you brought it up, Paul. I have to say thank you.
Yeah.
Because this is wonderful.
Yeah. Thank random thing that I read. So
indeed. So check out Inside, comedian Bo Burnham, and you won't regret it.
For sure.
All right. Well, you won't regret it also if you click on our Instagram page, because if you're curious to see what other movies we've talked about over the life of this show, just scroll on our Instagram at Real to Real Talk, and then you can find all of our episodes on video here on YouTube. Well, as far back as when we started doing video, and then you can go to Podbean or Spotify to catch our audio versions of the first several shows that we did. You can also help us out by making sure you go over to our Facebook page, Real to Real Talk, and give it a like. Follow us. You can find your episodes here every Tuesday live. And if you got to catch up, they're all right here on our Facebook page, Real to Real Talk. Thank you for joining us. And don't forget, you can also see us on YouTube Live. Make sure you go to our channel, Real to Real Talk on YouTube. Give it a follow, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you know when our episodes land week to week, and you can catch up on all the episodes that we've done so far. So, yeah, do that, and we will thank you for doing so. Paul, it has been a fun time. We miss Susan, obviously.
Yes.
But thank you for making the time for this week's look at the Conjuring series. Next week, we are back with some roulette, as it's time to go to realgood.com/roulette and find out what the wheel gave us, because our topic was
comedy.
Yes. In English, that's comedy.
Yes.
So, yeah, find out what interesting films the roulette wheel gave us next week as we get back to our monthly realgood.com/roulette, Netflix roulette. I still haven't spun. I'm going to be honest. I'm just waiting.
What?
I know. I'm scared. The last time we did
be.
comedy so long ago.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
You got stung, my friend.
Yeah, big time.
Which is why you're due for something good.
All right. Well, thank all of you who watched this week. We appreciate you being with us. We know that you guys have had a busy day, and we thank you for spending time with us here. As we prepare to say goodnight, remember, this is the place to hear us talk about movies. Let us know what you want to talk about and all that good stuff. But more importantly, don't forget, you are awesome, you are amazing, and the world is a better place because you are in it. We will see you next time on